Aloha and welcome to Knitted Paradise, where the needles are clicking and the yarn is squishy. My name is Lucia, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Pearl of the Pacific. Today is June 11th, and this is episode 139. So hello everyone. I know I'm probably a couple weeks late. Sorry about that. We had our annual choral festival over Memorial Day weekend, and then after that I got a really bad cold and was really congested and lost my voice, and I had every intention of recording last weekend, but I don't think anyone wanted to listen to that. I didn't have much of a voice. So I'm feeling much better this week. The congestion's mostly gone and I can talk and sing, which is important because I have to go to choir later today. So that's that, but I have been doing a ton of knitting and I wanted to show you guys. The cat is also climbing in the closet, so who knows what's going on over there. Alright, so let's start with on the island. There really isn't anything actually currently at the moment. I kind of finished some things yesterday and haven't cast anything new on. I've kind of been finishing up Languishing Whips, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So let's get on to Set Sail. So the first thing I think I finished that I think you guys saw in progress was these socks, and these are out of the out of Gnome Acres House Gnome in the Crikey's Batman colorway, and these are going to be for my sister-in-law. And I used the bat chart that I created a while back. I don't know if you can see that. It's just with pearl bumps. It's really hard to see on the variegated. But she's a big fan of Batman, and so I finished these for her, and she'll be getting those for her birthday later this year. And yeah, so it's just a really simple chart. It's a free chart. You can find it, I think, if you just search like bat symbol chart, I think, on Ravelry. It's just the chart, like no other instructions, but it's just like knit and purl. It's kind of cool. Anyway, so I finished those, and then while we're talking about the socks, I finished these yesterday. And you probably don't remember these because I think they're like 2 years old. Yeah, they've been on the needles for a really, really long time. And these are some socks for my husband. And originally it was going to be the Flying Dutchman pattern, which has a ship on the leg. And it's done in intarsia, and it's done alternating, like I think a variegated and a solid. And I had knit these toe up because that's how I knit socks, and I had them on the needles 2 at a time. So I knit until here, and I had done the, there's like a, I don't know if you can kind of see this, like a waves kind of feather and fan thing here. So I had done that, and I had stopped like right here, and the ship was supposed to be on top of it. And of course I had to invert it because they were top-down socks. And it just like, I put them in hibernation, and just the thought of having to do intarsia on socks, and it just stopped me for a really, really long time. And finally, for various reasons, which I'll talk about in a minute, I know you guys are all probably wondering what's going on, I pulled them out, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to continue this waves pattern. So originally, I think I did like 5 waves, and then I decided to do some just plain rows, and then 4 waves, plain, 3 plain, 2 plain, 1 plain, until I almost ran out of yarn, and then finished with the blue cuff. And this was a Loopy U, I think it is a seasoning series, where it comes with the variegated and the solid for heels, cuffs, toes, or whatever you want to use it for. So that it matches perfectly. And he loves them. He's called them his Water Tribe socks. So it's kind of perfect. It's got it's actually not self-striping. It looks like it's striping, but it's not, as you can see up here. The gauge changes because of the pattern. That the foot striped, and then the leg didn't. But that's okay. He loves them, and he totally forgot that I had started them for him forever ago. I kind of had forgotten about them. But they are done. Finished them yesterday, and yeah, so I'm really excited about those being done. And it just goes to show that, like, if there's some technique or something that's just stopping you from doing a project, just do something else with it. You know, I've been waiting to do these and wanting to do the ship on there because I thought it was cool. He thought it was cool. I just didn't have the like brain space to sit there and like really figure out intarsia in the round, which I've done, but the fact of like alternating colors on socks and doing intarsia, and it just was a huge kind of roadblock for me. And so I'm really glad I decided to just do something else with it, continue the pattern that was already there, and it was great. So those are done. Woohoo! And yeah, so that's it for socks. I finished 2 pairs of socks and then a bunch of shawls. So one that I think you guys had seen was this one, the hellebore shawl. I think I had shown it to you finished last time, but I hadn't blocked it. So this is what it looks like, and it's out of Malabrigo Rios in the purple mystery colorway. And that's pretty accurate. I know it's blowing my face out, but that's pretty accurate, and I love it. It is going to be nice and warm for the fall and winter, which I'm excited about. So I used 2 full skeins. I think I followed the pattern pretty much exactly. The pattern's by Susie White of the Prairie Girls Knit and Spin. And yeah, I think I may have done a little bit extra just to use up all of my yarn, or I may have done a little bit fewer. I don't remember. Anyway, I love how it turned out. It's actually a pretty good size. I think it was written for DK, and Rios is almost a DK, I feel like. Sometimes you can call it a worsted, sometimes you can call it DK, but that is done. And I'm excited about that. The thing I knit during the Coral Festival was the lattice shawl by Maria of Stitched in Sweden. Sorry, it took me a second to think of that. And I had these 2 skeins of Malabrigo, not Malabrigo, Madelinetosh Light in my stash for a long time to do something together with. And I was looking through my patterns and trying to figure out, because I had wound them up recently to do something with them. And I found this shawl that had been it was in my library. And I was like, oh yes, I'm going to knit that. It's great colors, it'll go with a lot of things, and I love it. And actually, Madelinetosh Light was what she used for her border, and then she used something else for the main body, but I had 2 skeins of the Madelinetosh Light. And I don't have a ton left over. I did a few extra rows, or a few extra repeats of this lattice, just to use up more of the yarn, and then I think I did a few extra just plain rows before doing the knitted on border, and it ended up working out perfectly. So I love it. I've woven in the ends, but I still need to clip them. But, ta-da! So that is done. It's huge. Ta-da! But I love it, and it's going to be a great addition to my wardrobe. Alrighty, let's see. The next thing I finished, which I can show you now because the pictures from the book are out, is the test knit I did for Megan of the Stockinette Zombies for the Knit Cahoots book that they're about to release. And this is the shawl called Come Back Fall, something like that. Anyway, this is it, and it's a 2-color shawl, and you do, you start here, and you knit this border at the same time that you're doing these stripes. It's really cool. So it's not a knitted on border. It's actually, you knit it at the same time. And it's really cool. And then you finish with the rest of the border. I love it. So the green is a Lediman Fiber Arts in, I think it's one of the Anne of Green Gables colorways. I forget which one. Anyway, that's that green. And then the other one, the multicolored variegated, was one I picked up in California while I was visiting my brother last September from the local yarn shop near him. And I forget what it was, but it was something that was like unique to that shop, which is what I like to get in a souvenir skein. So it's in my project page if you want to go look for it, but that's what that is. And so it's it for shawls I knit. Here's a shawl that I got gifted. Love it. And this was from Elizabeth Green Musselman she used to do the Dark Matter Knits podcast. And I helped her out with something, and she knit me something. And oh my gosh, I love it. I forget the name of the shawl. She looked through my favorites. It's in my favorites, and I'd totally forgotten about it. And then she knit it for me, and I was like, where in my favorites is it? And so I went and I looked, and I found it. And I was like, oh yeah, I did favorite that. I do like this shawl. I mean, I love it, and I love the color she chose. I think the original was all in one color, but I actually like the multicoloreds. And it will look great with my hair, and it's nice neutral colors, and I love it. It's like I have to ask her what yarn she used, but it's like this heathered kind of tweedy. I don't know what it is, but it's awesome. It's nice and big and heavy, and it's going to be great for the winter, which seems very far away because it's like 90 degrees today, but I'm very excited about that, so thank you. And the other thing I pulled out of my languishing whips that have been there for a very long time was the Madonna beach bag that I had started 2 years ago, maybe? Yeah. Out of some cotton. I think it was 100% cotton. Some sort of... I should be better about this, but I'm not. Anyway, you start with the bottom, and then you kind of pick up around the edges and then knit up, and then do some decreases on the edge, and then what I did is I just kind of continued the, whatchamacallit, handle. I just kind of knit until I was almost done with yarn, kitchenered it together, and boom, done. Ta-da! It's perfect. I can actually wear it as a crossbody bag too. So, I may wear it today. It's kind of cute. Anyway, I had started this forever ago to use as like a beach bag, because we live a couple blocks from the beach, and I was like, oh, I need a bag to like carry just like a towel and a book and like some water or snack or something, my phone and keys and stuff like that. And I was like, perfect, I'll just knit a bag. So I knit this bag, and now I finished it, and we're about to move. So that's the big news, and that's why I've been kind of trying to finish up some old stuff, is we are in the process of buying a home. And it's a long, involved process, and now I totally understand what everyone goes through when they buy a home. So it's actually a condo, and it's in like the next town over, so we'll not be close to the lake anymore, which I'm a little bummed about, but that's okay. It's a much bigger place, and it's got tons of natural sunlight, and I will be able to have like a little crafting corner. My husband is going to be able to have like his space for all his Lego stuff, and so he can have his kind of crafting corner. Actually, it's going to be a crafting room. He's getting his own room. It's actually a walk-in closet, but we're going to make it the man nerd cave, which he's really excited about. I'm really excited about, because then he can have his projects going in there, and we can keep the cat out, because cat plus little Lego pieces, you know, yeah, they get everywhere, and then you can't find them ever again. So that's really exciting. I'm going to have my own little crafting space. I'm not entirely sure where that's going to be yet, but we're really excited. But it means that I'm trying to finish up some old stuff, and I've been going through a lot of my knitting stuff, and yeah, so that's why I've been pulling out really old things and trying to finish them up. And the other announcement that I have related to that is that I'm doing a destash of some yarn, some bags. I have a ball winder in there. I don't think I have it. It's mostly yarn and bags. They're things that are beautiful that I have in my stash that I just don't see myself using in the near future. And I'd rather them go to someone else who will use them. And, you know, most of the bags I've used, I have a ton of bags, and I go back to the same, like, 6 bags over and over again. And so I've decided to, you know, let some bags go. And while I love them and I would love to keep them, it's time for them to go. So if you head over to the Ravelry group, which is Knitted Paradise Podcast, there's a thread titled Destash. And in there are pictures, and I think I put prices on everything. So if you're interested in anything, please let me know. I have actually 2 huge of those fabric, like, box bins things full of things to sell. And I did kind of take pictures of them in groups. So there's not a ton of information on there, but if you want information, let me know, and I can let you know, like, the weight or the yardage or the company even, because I think I just put, like, you know, skeins together in a picture, and just, like, I tried to consolidate the pictures because otherwise the thread just gets huge. So I have, like, single skeins, and they're up there, and then, like, multiple skeins, and anyway, you'll see. I tried to kind of consolidate things a little bit. But if you're interested in anything, you can reply to the thread, or you can message me. I'm going to be adding things as the days and weeks go on. I already have pulled some other things from my stash to add, but I need to take pictures of them and put them up there. Yeah, so if you're in the lookout for some really cool bags or yarn, go take a look. I would be very, very grateful, because also moving costs a lot of money, and buying a home costs a lot of money, so I'm also trying to raise a little bit of funds so we can kind of fund that move and get some new furniture for the new place, which I'm really excited about. So I will hopefully have a more like my own space to do the podcast, which I'm really excited about, and so having kind of my own setup there, I'll hopefully be able to do it more regularly, like every week, because if things are already set up, it makes it a lot easier. So that's the big news for this week, I guess, the last few weeks. It's been going on, and yeah, it's been a little stressful. Okay, a lot stressful at times. But I think everything is kind of settled down now, and we're just kind of waiting on a few things to come in here and there, but I think most of it is done, or at least the first round. If you've ever bought a home, you probably know this. Anyway, I think that's it for set sale and big announcements. I guess we're doing those in the middle of this. But I do have some from the mainland. It actually is from England, which is kind of exciting. So one of our friends who comes to the Coral Festival, his wife owns a knitting shop in Manchester, which is very exciting. And she messaged me and was like, "Can I send something for you?" And I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Send something that I can't get anywhere else," because those are the things I love to get while traveling or at yarn shops. So she sent, like, the ultimate can't get it anywhere else. This is something that has just been released and just in the UK. So you can't even get it in the US. So I apparently have the first and only copy in the US right now, which is really exciting. So she sent this pattern, which just came out for this shawl. And it is by, of course, it's not on the front. Let's see, pull it out of here. It is by, it's called Alvina, which means noble friend, I'm guessing. It doesn't say who it's by. He told me, and now I'm forgetting. Anyway, it was someone that she had recently in her shop to do, like, a presentation, and as, like, a release of this pattern. So this is now out, and Yarn Tellier, not Yarn Tellier? That's what it says on the front there that you can't really read, because, so that is that pattern, and I highly suggest you go check it out. It's a really pretty, you can do it with light fingering or lace, and there's beads in it. Really cool, you should check it out. If I actually get my act together to do show notes, I'll post a link and tell you actually who it's by. Sometimes with these, I just have time to record and upload them, and I don't always have time for show notes. So sorry about that. If you have any questions, always feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to answer those. So that is the pattern. So she also sent some beautiful yarn for me to knit it with, which is also by Yarn Tellier in their cashmere lace, and it's in this gorgeous brick red colorway. So thank you so much for that, and I'm very excited about knitting this shawl. So that was very exciting. And apparently I have the only copy in the US right now, so that's even more exciting. It is coming out soon, so don't worry, you will be able to get it. That is it from the mainland, because mostly I'm working on destashing things rather than acquiring things, because not only are we in the process of buying home and kind of packing up to moving, my entire family is coming to visit later this month, which includes my parents and my brother. So my parents are actually heading to Europe to visit my dad's family in, I think, next week, early next week, maybe tomorrow, maybe today, I don't remember. Anyway, and then on their way back to Hawaii, they're going to stop through here for a week, and my brother happens to be in town for a friend's wedding, and so they're all going to be here. So we're trying to pack things up and also get the house ready for people to come stay in it. So it's kind of a lot. So please go check out the destash. That would be very helpful to kind of clear things out of the house so we have more room for people. The other thing that I wanted to do is pull for a winner. And last week I had pulled for, or not last week, it's been way more weeks than that. I had pulled for a winner for the previous episode, and she has not gotten in touch with me. And the winner was number 10, Nitty Cactus. And she won this lovely bag and my cool clavicle cover. So Lori, please get in touch with me, Nitty Cactus, and let me know your address, and I will get that sent out to you as soon as possible. And so I'm going to I decided to write it down on a card and keep it with it so that it can keep track, because I had to go watch last time's episode in order to remember who won what. So that was that. And then this week we're going to pull for a winner for these from the question of how do you buy your yarn? Do you buy it for a specific project? Do you just buy it because it's pretty? And I loved the answers. People were kind of all over the place, and that was great. A lot of people do buy for specific projects. Some people just buy because it's pretty. Some people do a little bit of both. So that was great. I loved reading their answers. So the winner of this prize package was number 5, who is La Jolla Girl. I don't know if you can focus or if you can see that at all. Anyway, La Jolla Girl, please get in contact with me and let me know your address, and I will get this sent out to you. So those were the prize winners. And yeah, as I've been going through my stash, I've made some other prize packages. So I will be, I don't have a question today, but I will have one next time, which will hopefully be hopefully next week. We'll see. I'm going to try to be more regular about this. I know it's just kind of all over the place, but it's life. And thank you guys so much for putting up with that. But I pulled some prize packages, and so that's kind of exciting. And I will have more questions for people to answer because I love reading your answers. It's really intriguing and educational, and I love it. Maybe we should have a question this week. Let's see. How do you organize your stash? I think I'd like to know that. Right now, I have mine in 3, I guess it's mostly 3, I guess they're like Rubbermaid tubs. There's like the small ones that fit under your bed. So they're like 3 tubs right next to each other that are under my side of the bed. I think I've shown them before, like years ago. But that's where most of it is. And right now, as I've been going through stuff, I have one that's all fingering weight. I have one that is kind of everything else. And then recently I've cleared out one through destashing and just reorganizing things. That's all my scraps and my leftovers, and I've got all my notions in there. I've got, I'm hoping to put my bags in there that are not in use. I'm still trying to figure out that bin. I also have a couple sweater quantities that are in an unused suitcase, that's nearby, and but I've been knitting through those, so which is good, and so I don't have as many of those. I think I have a couple in there that are kind of like larger project stashes. But that's kind of how I have mine, is in these 3 like plastic bins, and that seems to work really well for me, and I'm going to keep it that way for now. When we get to the new place, I may reorganize and figure out how to kind of display them. I like to keep them kind of put away because we have a cat, and it just kind of protects them from getting cat hair all over them, or the cat trying to play with them, or you know, dust or bugs or things like that. And I often keep a lavender sachet in each bin, sometimes 2, to just kind of ward off other bugs, because they're not airtight. They're just kind of like, they have a lid on them. But it keeps them out of the way, it keeps them organized, and they're very easy to access. So that's how I store my stash, but I would love to hear how you store yours. Do you have it out? Do you have it in bins? How do you sort it? Do you sort it by color? Do you sort it by yarn weight? Do you kind of like group things by projects? I'd love to hear. So that's the question for this week, and you can answer that in the thread in the Ravelry group for this episode. That's where I pull the prize from. I know some people have been answering it in other places, but that's where the prize will come from. So go to the Ravelry group, or go to Ravelry, search for Knitted Paradise Podcast, click on the episode thread for 139. I think this was going to be called Out of Hibernation, because I've been pulling projects out of hibernation. I feel like I've been out of podcasting hibernation. And yeah, answer the question, how do you organize your stash? Pictures are always great. I love seeing the pictures of how people store their knitwear. Give me a ton of ideas. So in the new place, I've got some thoughts. Right now I'm just leaving it kind of as is, but I have some thoughts for the new place. So we'll see kind of how storage is going to work and all that, because of course you have new closets, you have new spaces, you have new everything, so it'll be really exciting. But that's it for today. I'm going to have probably a second breakfast and then head off to choir, and then I've got some stuff going on this afternoon, and yeah, hopefully starting some new knitting projects, mostly stuff that's like already wound. I'm just trying to kind of get through that rather than casting on new things. So that's kind of my knitting strategy at the moment, if you will. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. So thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to talk with you all soon. All right, bye.